Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Space Engineers Plus Me, episode 49. I'm Enigmius, and today we're on an adventure. Last episode, we left our Earth-like planet on a trip to the moon. Our specific goal was to get as much platinum as we could. After a fairly significant amount of mining, we came up with 500,000 kilograms of platinum. Total of 3 deposits that we found. The first was not bad. It was small, but that's normal for platinum. The second was another one of those, it's barely even a deposit. It's just wispy little bits of platinum here and there. The third is the largest that I've seen and accounted for most of the platinum that we extracted. We didn't even finish clearing it out because when we got to 500,000 kilograms, I realized the original mass of our ship when we left the Earth-like planet was 850,000 kilograms. We added 500,000. We increased the mass of the ship by more than 50% with the platinum that we put into the cargo container. So it didn't really matter so much that we were leaving platinum behind. It was time to go. The easiest way that I've found to do this interstellar travel business is to just basically set yourself on the course that you want to be going on. Make sure you escape to whatever gravity well you have to, and then turn everything off. Just coast until you get close enough that you can start making finer adjustments in terms of where you want to go. And in our case, we've got a GPS marker on the ice lake, specifically where we want to go to help us get a good start, headed in the right direction. And then when we get closer, we can make the adjustments that we need to get in close. One of the things that I realized as we started to get closer to the planet is that we would be landing at night, which is just the bane of my existence. But between the GPS coordinates and our experience landing at night, I figured we might be okay as long as we would have enough thrust to slow the ship, to control its descent, and land properly. One of the things that I've started doing when it comes to gravity wells and landing is positioning the ship as best I can where I want it to be, bringing it to a complete stop just inside the gravity well, and then turning everything off and free falling until we're 8 to 10 kilometers above the surface. Depending on your ship and how much thrust it has, you could probably go even closer before you start turning everything back on and slowing the descent, but I wasn't sure with this ship, so I decided 8 to 10 kilometers would be the goal. Turn the atmospheric thrusters on, turn the ion thrusters on, hit the inertial dampeners so that they start firing the thrusters, trying to bring us to as close to a complete stop as possible, and then we could do the fine maneuvering over the ice lake, land next to the Atlas. Life would be fantastic. Our descent speed started to slow. We went from 104.4 meters per second, I think it was, down to something in the 80s. And then we started to accelerate again, because as you go through a planet's atmosphere, the impact of gravity increases. So the gravity outstripped the ability of our thrusters to slow the ship's descent. And at that point, I realized there's nothing we can do. We can't stop the ship. We can't even bring it to a stop and hover. It's going down, and that's just the way it's going to be. So I decided the only thing that I could really do is exit the ship so that I would survive, follow it to where it crashes, and then hope that the cargo container holding the platinum would survive so that we could at least recover the platinum. It wouldn't be a total loss. We would lose a lot of things in the process, but at least we would have the platinum. That's why we were going. We could afford the other things that we were going to lose, and we could just carry it back to the Atlas, bring the Fat Canary over, whatever we needed to do to recover that platinum and put it into service. That was the goal. But things went very strange. The ship just took off in some odd direction, and I tried chasing it. Fortunately, the ship was going 100 meters per second. I was going 107 meters per second, which is your maximum speed with the jetpack. It took a long time to catch up. And once I caught up to the ship, again, from my previous experience, exiting ships that are traveling at their maximum speed, It was a little bit tricky trying to get back into the bridge area, get into the control seat, and see what we could do to control the ship that was, for some strange reason, not crashing but flying off in a different direction at top speed. And then that happened. And here we are, back on the moon. I like to keep backup saves. It saves me so much time. That's all it is. If you look at the time that we spent getting from the Earth-like planet to the moon, quite a lot of time spent mining, and then time spent getting from the moon back to the Earth-like planet. To lose that so close to the goal is not okay. I have to keep this in mind, that if I ever end up playing on a server, resetting from a new save or, you know, from a backup save isn't going to be an option necessarily. So we have to be a little bit more cautious about how we approach things, especially in the pre-preparation stages. So obviously we had a problem. We had a ship loaded down with platinum, very close to being able to land. Things went absolutely sideways. So we need to take another run at it, but we need to do it better this time. We need to account for the fact that we're above weight, and we need to make some necessary changes before we even leave. We need to have a plan that's going to get us down to the ice lake before we even leave, because as we learned, trying to solve things mid-problem doesn't really work so well. So you can see already what this plan involves. We put a refinery on top of the ship. It's not there forever. It's not a permanent fixture. It'll be gone by the time we're ready to leave. But it was the best option available to me. The way I saw it, I had three options. One is I could just dump platinum to reduce weight and consider it gone, lost, soon to be gathered by the garbage collection algorithms. That was definitely not an appealing alternative. The second option would be to build like a 2-block station, 1 block that anchors it to the ground, and then a storage container on top of that, and we put some of the extra platinum in the storage container to come back for it later. It saves the platinum, but it still requires another trip to this moon and then back to wherever we came from in order to recover that platinum. So that wasn't really the best idea. I thought for a second it might be my only real option until I realized if I was careful. I did bring some materials with me in the cargo container. If I was careful, I would be able to scavenge the rest of the materials that I need from components that are already on the ship to build a refinery and 4 productivity modules to start processing the platinum, because the weight reduction when you process platinum is outrageous. It's absolutely freakish how much weight you can save, but it takes a long time. I left this running overnight in order to get as much processed as I possibly could. I was hoping that I would, you know, come back to it and most of the platinum would be gone. I would be just finishing off the tail end and life would be good. Not that fast. It's a slow process, even with 4 productivity modules. But we can take a look at what we've got. This is what the refinery is currently holding, 141,000 kilograms of platinum here. This is what's left to process, 215,000 kilograms. 356,000 kilograms is what we have left to process from the 500,000 kilograms we started with. So we've processed 154,000 kilograms down to 573 kilograms. That's kind of a big deal when you're talking about losing weight without sacrificing anything. I mean, let's face it, if we're a bit round and we can lose 150 pounds without sacrificing anything, that's not a bad idea, really. I mean, it's easy, it's fun, why not? In this case, 355,000 kilograms down to 573 is about ideal. Now, push comes to shove, if I felt obligated to leave the moon right now and go back to the planet, I feel relatively confident that we would be able to make it. 150,000 kilograms is more than 10%. of our total weight when we left the moon last time. So it's not that bad. I kind of feel like I want to leave it running just a little bit longer to be on the safe side. The one thing I have to be aware of is fuel, which we can see from here. Scroll down. We got 43.33 kilograms of uranium left. When I started this process, I got the refinery all set up and I started refining the platinum. We had 76 kilograms. And the only thing that's been running on the ship, consuming power, is the refinery and the lights. Everything else has been turned off. So we're not drawing a lot of power from anything other than the refinery, and it's already taken over 30 kilograms of uranium. So if you think 30 kilograms of uranium to process 150,000 kilograms of platinum, if we were to process all of the platinum, we would be out of fuel. And we wouldn't be able to get back, which kind of defeats the purpose. So I'm going to keep an eye on the fuel. I'm going to make sure that no matter what happens, we have enough to get back. We need to get out of the moon's gravity well, which doesn't take much. We need to get oriented properly to get to where we want to go between the moon and the planet. Then we can turn off the thrusters, just let everything coast until we get to the point where we have to start maneuvering again. And then we'll get down to the ice lake, and Bob will be your uncle. We'll finish processing the rest of the platinum. We'll finish welding up the thrusters on the Atlas, and then we have to get down to the business of reviewing all the different Atlas components to make sure that everything works the way it needs to, so that we can take off on our next expedition over here to Mars and have a really good chance of being successful at it, as opposed to just, crashing after 5 hours in flight or something like that. So we're going to be really, really careful to not take things for granted. We're going to have to mine up a bunch of ice to make hydrogen, all the little details that we have to look into. And I've got a couple of ideas for little ships that I might kind of play around with just for a break from all the technical detailing on the Atlas. And it's also sometimes a little bit more interesting to look at a ship that's new and exciting than it is to look at, all the details that we've been working on for a ship, and you can't even really see what those details are translating into. So if you want to be notified when we have future videos in this series, which we got so many places to explore, so many ships to build, it's crazy. You can subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on social media. Links for social media in the information box below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.